According to the Belgian police, Bogarts had been involved in smuggling cocaine through the port of Antwerp. They believed that Jos was behind the murder, possibly because Bogarts had crossed him or interfered with his business. This was the first time that Jos's name appeared in the media, and it marked the beginning of his public notoriety. As the police continued to investigate Jos's activities, they discovered more about his involvement in the drug trade. He was suspected of importing large quantities of cocaine through the ports of Rotterdam and Antwerp, and of laundering the proceeds of his criminal activities. The authorities intercepted messages from an encrypted communication network, which revealed the extent of Jos's operations. In one message, Jos was referred to as El Presidente, a nickname that reflected his position as the leader of a vast criminal empire. The police learned that Jos had ordered violent attacks on anyone who got in his way, including security guards, rival criminals, and even his own associates. One of the most shocking discoveries was Jos's possible connection to the disappearance of a woman named Aunt Naima Jalal. Known as the godmother of cocaine, Jalal disappeared in October 2019 after getting into a car in Amsterdam. She was never seen again, and the police believe that Jos was involved in her disappearance. The police received 6 tips about Jalal following the broadcast of Opsporing Verzocht. They also received a lead when the VW Polo in which she was taken turns up in a Belgian drug investigation into the Liège bigwig Dries L. His gang is said to take orders from Bolle Jos, but the Liège suspects are also silent in this case. Photos found on a phone during the investigation showed a woman, believed to be Jalal, tied to a chair and tortured. One photo even showed a severed finger placed on her body. The police think that Jalal was killed on Jos's orders, and her body was never found. This case made Jos even more infamous, and in May 2022, the Dutch police placed him at the top of their most wanted list. They offered a reward of 75,000 euros for information leading to his arrest, but despite their efforts, Jos remained elusive. As the hunt for Jos intensified, the police began targeting his family. They raided the homes of his mother and sister, finding large amounts of cash, expensive jewelry, and designer clothing. His mother, age 68, and his sister, age 27, were arrested on suspicion of money laundering. The authorities believed that they had been helping Jos hide his ill-gotten gains. Despite these arrests, Jos remained at large. Rumors circulated that he was hiding in Turkey or Russia. Wherever he was, Jos was always one step ahead of the police. The Dutch authorities tried to use diplomatic channels to capture Jos, especially in Turkey, where he was believed to have strong connections. However, these efforts proved difficult, as Jos had built a network of loyal associates who helped him evade capture. The international search for Jos continued, with police in multiple countries working together to track him down. The Dutch authorities increased the reward for information leading to his capture to 200,000 euros, making him one of the most wanted men in Europe. Despite this, Jos remained elusive. Reports suggested that he had fled from Turkey to Abkhazia, a region in Georgia that claims to be independent but is not widely recognized as a country. This area, located near the Russian resort town of Sochi, was a remote and mountainous region, an ideal hiding place for someone trying to escape the authorities. Some believe that Jos had connections in Russia, a country that has been mentioned frequently in relation to fugitive criminals. However, the chances of the Netherlands successfully negotiating Jos's extradition from Russia seemed slim, especially given the tense political climate between Russia and the West. The rumors about Jos's whereabouts were difficult to verify. His brother-in-law, who was arrested in Turkey, claimed in an interview that Jos had fled to Abkhazia and then to Russia. But many suspected that this was a deliberate attempt to mislead the authorities and throw them off Jos's trail. Living life on the run is not easy, even for someone as wealthy and powerful as Jos. Constantly moving from place to place, using fake identities, and relying on a network of loyal associates to stay hidden takes a toll. Jos may have been a feared drug lord, but he was also a man who could never truly relax or feel safe. He had to be careful about who he trusted, knowing that any of his associates could betray him for a chance at the reward money. His family was under constant surveillance, and the police were closing in on his closest allies. Despite the difficulties, Jos managed to stay ahead of the law for years. He used his wealth and connections to buy protection, and his reputation for violence kept many potential informants silent. But as the net tightened around him, it became clear that his time might be running out. Turkey played a significant role in Jos's criminal activities. The country's strategic location made it a key transit point for drug shipments, and Jos had established a strong presence there. His brother-in-law, Abdullah Alp-Yu, was considered a key figure in Jos's organization, overseeing operations in Turkey. In 2023, Turkish authorities conducted a massive operation against Jos's network, arresting 23 of his associates, including his brother-in-law. However, most of these suspects were released shortly after their arrest, raising questions about the effectiveness of the operation. This turn of events was frustrating for the Dutch authorities, who had hoped that the arrests in Turkey would lead to Jos's capture. Instead, it seemed that Jos had once again managed to slip through the cracks, leaving the police back at square one. Despite all the efforts to catch him, Jos remained free. But in June 2023, a Dutch court sentenced him to 24 years in prison in absentia. The charges included large-scale cocaine trafficking and ordering the murder of a rival. The conviction was a significant victory for law enforcement, but it also highlighted the challenges they faced in bringing such a powerful criminal to justice. The court's decision showed that the authorities were determined to hold Jos accountable for his crimes, even if they couldn't yet capture him. The verdict also served as a warning to other criminals that the law would eventually catch up with them, no matter how long it took. As of now, Jos Leidekkers, better known as Bolle Jos, is still at large. His criminal empire remains active, and the search for him continues.